The thing I don't like is that without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger. And I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people.
Wow, if you've ever wanted to know the power of a politician or a president that might end up coming to change some rules for a company, look no further than what Donald Trump could do to a company like Facebook. And Max dropped this morning, a company we all know as Facebook, although has changed their name to Meta for Metaverse, dropped $69 billion in market cap from open straight down for about the first hour of trading. Facebook lost $69 billion. And you have to see Donald Trump's explanation for why. But let me first explain something so that when you hear it, you can understand the clip in context. When Donald Trump talks about Zucker bucks, what he's talking about, and I wrote it down over here, is that Mark Zuckerberg created a nonprofit called the Center for Technology and Civic Life. He gave over $350 million to that nonprofit. When, as a billionaire, you give $350 million to a nonprofit, you could say now you're a philanthropist and you donate hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can also write that off on your taxes. So now you're writing off a lot of money. So when you sell Facebook stock, you can offset that by donations to a charity that you run, probably, or at least one that you created, right? Or helped create via the funding. See, usually what happens is, even if you put another CEO in charge or an independent board or whatever in charge, if your funding created that nonprofit, they basically do whatever you want, right? And then you don't have to deal with the day-to-day. And so this company, this particular nonprofit, I shouldn't call it a company, this nonprofit, gave about those $350 million to nearly 2,500 election departments in the 2020 campaign. And that money was specifically focused on supporting what they called the safe administration of voting in predominantly Democratic areas. And what they wanted to do was basically install what they call lock boxes in part. Lock boxes are basically places you can go to drop a mail-in ballot off, and it goes sort of into the locked case. And the idea is to enable potentially those Democratic areas to vote more, make it easier for those areas to vote through whether it's some people say ballot harvesting, which is illegal. That's basically like, here, fill out the ballot. We'll go drop it off for you, right? Technically, you can do that. Like, you can sign your ballot, you put it in the envelope, and on the back, you could write being dropped off by somebody else and basically sign your ballot over to somebody else. You put your ballot in sealed technically, but somebody else can go drop it off for you, which makes it really easy to vote in theory, because if your ballot's sitting at home and somebody knocks on your door, it's like, hey, fill out that ballot and give it to us, we'll go drop it off for you. Oh, by the way, who'd you vote for? Oh, you voted for Trump? Oh, yeah. Got a special bin for that one. That'll go right here. Is a theory, right? That's the theory. That's what a lot of people say is election fraud. They say these are real ballots. But even though those are real ballots, they were collected from people who might not otherwise have voted, or then they were sorted potentially by people who were supposed to drop off the ballots but maybe didn't, for people that didn't support their candidate. This is the thesis. And so the idea when you hear lock boxes is what I've just described. When you hear this, $500 million, these are sort of gross donations. I'm specifically talking about how $350 million was spent towards this one nonprofit. You'll hear that. And then when you hear Donald Trump talk about, by the way, we see, people going to jail for donating a few $100s. What this is in reference to is this idea that when you donate money to a campaign, you are limited. Let me look at the 2024 max campaign contribution. I ran for governor in California, and I remember we had to deal with this. There were a lot of people who wanted to donate to us a lot more than what they could have. But because they were limited by an individual contribution, the max donation that an individual could donate to a candidate, it's somewhere around I can't get it handy right here. It's somewhere around $500 to $5,600, something like that. And if you donate a little bit more than that, you violated campaign finance contribution limits, because an individual can't donate to a candidate. However, you can send an unlimited amount of money to a state, district, or local party committee, to some of these nonprofits, or to national committees. This is why the RNC raises money. A lot of people are asking me, hey, how come Trump can raise money, but then the RNC also raises money? Well, because it's kind of like just donating to the same campaign in different ways. You max out your donation to Trump, let's say, and then you donate to the committee more because there are no limits on donating to these committees, the super PACs, nonprofits, whatever. And so that's the frustration Donald Trump is talking about. So let's listen to that, and then let's circle back to TikTok and Facebook, since this is all coming up in the context of banning TikTok. And Donald Trump's like, I'd rather not ban TikTok because that's just going to make Facebook more powerful.
The thing I don't like is that without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger. And I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media. What Facebook did with lockboxes, with the $500 million Zuckerbucks lockboxes that he put in, I mean, I consider illegal, but they put people in jail when they spend more than $5,600 in a campaign. They go to jail if they're $200. Look at Dinesh D'Souza. Right. They put him in jail over a couple of $100. And yet here's a guy spends $500 million and he doesn't go to jail.
Anyway, this commentary for Donald Trump was directly associated with the drop in Facebook stock that we saw today. In fact, if you look at other companies here, Facebook's down 4.38% at the time of this recording. Again, it was down a max of about $69 billion. Apple's up about 1.1%. You've got Google up about 2%. You've got Microsoft down about 63 basis points. The Qs are down about 42. A really, really clear association with that magnitude of drop in Facebook, with no other news for Facebook today, and Donald Trump's comments. So really what the market's trying to do from the official basis would be, well, the market is trying to assess the potential of Donald Trump becoming president and then weighing the odds of Donald Trump forming some kind of action against Facebook while not banning TikTok to get revenge against Facebook for Donald Trump losing the 2020 election, and therefore we'll have to discount the future potential cash flows at Facebook because Donald Trump is going to poop on them. That's like what Wall Street will tell you they're saying. The reality is, Trump said something bad about Facebook? Sell. So that's what's happening right now. But again, it shows you the power of Donald Trump. Another thing to look at in terms of the power of Donald Trump moving stocks is actually the irony of what happened with Donald Trump's DWAC. See, right before Super Tuesday, you had this run-up. Look at this. The about 6 weeks before Super Tuesday, you get a DWAC, which is Truth Social, the SPAC that is taking Truth Social public. You get this running from $17 all the way up to $58. As soon as you get Super Tuesday happening, right about here on March 5th, you're straight down since March 5th, and you've already kind of been selling down into Super Tuesday. So this is what we call buy the rumor. Oh, Trump's going to sweep. And then everybody starts dropping out except for Trump. And all of a sudden, that trade is over. People are onto a different trade now. Now, do I think this will fundamentally affect Facebook in the long term? Probably not. I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook myself, but that has nothing to do with politics. Ultimately, it just shows you that Donald Trump and what he says is very powerful. And it's not just people who are paying attention who are voters, but it's also markets. Anyway, if you found this helpful, consider sharing this video, subscribe. Make sure to check out our event on June 21st to 23rd. We just made our speaker announcement for last Friday. We had a new speaker announcement. There will be many more speaker announcements, so stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck.